Hey guys, we're back with our April pickups video. Well, okay, the first half of April, since it's, what is it, like the 15th or something? I don't know. So, April has been pretty fruitful so far. Like, not quite as good as March, but hey, I mean, we're only halfway in. So, we're gonna start with my record store day pickup. Uh, I was not able to find the thing I was most looking for, but I got my second choice. So this is the music from, well, okay, so it says original motion picture soundtrack for I Know What You Did Last Summer, but when you look at the back, it's all of like the licensed music from the movie instead. So I mean, I thought it was like a score, but I'm sure this will be fun too. So plus, Proud is on there from Korn. Yeah, that was. Well, I'm a '90s kid, so Korn was my thing. Still kind of is, actually. I listen to it sort of frequently. So, well, let's open this up and actually take a look at what's in there. So, I've never seen I Know What You Did Last Summer. Which, it's one of those things that's kind of eluded me. In one of my earlier pickup videos, I did find it, so I'm probably going to end up watching it pretty soon before I play this. So, I mean, it's a nice looking release. I wonder who put this out. Let's see. Oh, it just says Sony. So, well, it's got a nice inner sleeve. That's good. And is it just? Ooh. Okay, so it's on red vinyl, which the sticker on the front actually does say. It's just kind of, you never know quite what they mean by red vinyl. So sometimes it's like translucent, sometimes it's got like this weird hue, but no, it's just a solid red. Looks pretty nice. Let's see, is there like an insert or something in this? Because sometimes these come with like a little poster, something that like comes out. I don't think that's going to be the case this time, because I don't spot anything. Nope, it looks like it's just the vinyl in here. But, it's still a pretty nice looking release. And there's some decent buzz about it too, so yeah, if I get tired of it, I'm sure some of my friends will be happy to trade me. Especially if they have that other thing I was looking for. I was looking for that, I think it's like Blood on Black vinyl. It's like the history of horror soundtracks. Which kind of sucks, because I was like, I don't think there's anything I want for Record Store Day this year. And then I found out about that, like, at midnight the day before it happened, and it was like, do I go? And it went from being like 70 here to there being like a snowstorm. And it was like, if I go outside, I will die. Actually kept me in from class one day. It was pretty ugly outside this past week around here. So, from calling around, it sounds like they ran out of that book basically right away, so I don't feel too bad. Yeah. So, that's a cool thing. It was kind of pricey, though, which I think that's my only real complaint. I mean, it was like $35, which that's like a waxwork prestige release, So, anyway, let's get on to the movies, which is the fun part. Yeah. Oh. Well, I guess we do have kind of an addendum to that. So it kind of feels like cheating to count Fangoria, since I'm subscribed to it and it just kind of shows up. Like I don't have to go out and like dig for it. But the new Fangoria came. They started shipping it. I don't know where it is, but anyway, they were shipping them in these like black bags, which I guess they used to do that back in the day. But there kept being a lot of problems with doing that. Like, people weren't getting their magazines or whatever because they had to do extra security or something for that packaging method. So this is the first one that they shipped in, like, this paper envelope thing. Which, of course, my mail person, bent the shit out of and ruined. But, for some reason the magazine's fine, so that's all that matters. So anyway, moving on to our first round of pickups for April. So start off with Shout Factory Swamp Thing, which I already had this, so this was like a rebuy for me. However, it was like $1. It's a long story, which I won't tell you. Hooray! And I think it's actually in better shape than the one I had before. So, woo, sweet. You can refinance that into something we don't already own. So, I've wanted Cujo for a while, because one of my favorite monster movies is Louis Teague's Alligator, and Louis Teague did Cujo too. So, plus, we're talking about it on the Inside Movies Galore channel. I think at the end of April, because it's Animal April. So I'll get to, I've got my copy of this, so we can talk about it now. And I've never seen it, and I'm excited. So plus it was pretty cheap. So it's not a hard title to find, but it's still consistently like $10, and I think I got that for like $7. So I do like some more artsy movies. So I actually saw this for a class in undergrad. This is The Seventh Seal by Ingmar Bergman on Criterion. And this was on sale for, I think it was like $13. Like, it's a hell of a steal. And I remember I have a friend who really likes this movie, and if I get tired of it, I might gift it to him. But, I mean, it's such a acclaimed classic, it'll be fun to revisit it with, I have a much more critical eye than I did back when I first saw this, so that'll be interesting to revisit this, like, so long after that period. So, plus it's also a really fun thing, at least for me, they used the design of Death from this in Bill and Ted, and so it is slightly harder to take this movie seriously just because of that. It's like, oh yeah, it's Death from Bill and Ted. And it's like, no, that's Death came from the Seventh Seal first. Ah. Sure, I thought it was funny. And then we have our first kind of shocking rarity. So I just kind of found this at one of my usual hangouts, and it was like $6 or whatever. Like, I wanted to see it for a while, and I was like, you know what, sure. And then, like, looking around online, it turns out it's actually kind of rare. And whew, wow. I got one hell of a deal. I don't want to quote prices too much. I mean, it's a little banged up, but I had some friends who, I have a friend who's a female film critic, and she didn't really like this very much. I'm not exactly sure what the reasoning was. It was something about, like, misrepresentation, or... Well, at any rate, I mean, I've heard mostly good things, except for that one review, but I think what I'd like to do is, like, see it, and then read her piece, and then, like, watch it again, and, because I do value, like, having different perspectives and opinions on movies, so that could be a fun critical exercise. So, I've wanted to see this, like, since it came out, but I never found it, like, very affordably. Like, it was always, like, a really expensive DVD. Well, okay, Blu-ray. And, so we just kind of ran into it for $10, and it's missing the slipcover, but, looking it up online, $10 is pretty awesome, even without the slipcover, so, sold. I don't think it comes with a whole lot in way of extras. Well, it might, like, because it literally just says movie plus extras, like, on it. So there's got to be something, right? Kind of funny, like, because it has a black case, they had it in with, like, the 4K movies, and I was like, wait, that was on 4K? But nope, it's just a Blu-ray. And then, kind of a weird thing, I don't know if this counts as horror or not, but, I felt, like, worth commenting on it anyway. So Sophia Lillis was in the new It movie from last year, and, like, I thought she was pretty good. And so, some of you may know, like, I like to get involved in, like, Twitter drama. Yeah, it's childish, but it's also really, really fun. And so when this was announced, there were a lot of people, well, you can probably guess the type, you know, the kind of person it's like, the new She-Ra sucks because the art is different. And a lot of those people were like, why is Sophia Lillis and Nancy Drew? Nancy Drew sucks, meh. And it's like, Jesus, why do you care? You know what? Fine. Like, I'll... I started actually consuming some of that media just to spite these people. And, you know, also, you know, actually evaluate it for yourself, you know? Because most of the time, like, stuff is just fine. Like, except for the new Star Wars. Those are garbage, but that's a longer thing. But anyway, so I was at one of my usual haunts, and for some reason, even though this is like only a couple weeks old, this was in like the bargain bin for like $3. And well, what made it even weirder is across the street, like another store had it used for like $12. So supposedly, when I asked about it, supposedly sometimes they still buy stuff if they think it may have been like stolen. But they like greatly reduce the payoff. So it may have been some situation like that. But at any rate, you know, I don't actually know anything about Nancy Drew, and a friend of mine that I was with at the time, he was like, "Oh, I used to love reading Nancy Drew, so this will be our introduction." And apparently, it's the first Nancy Drew story, so all the more appropriate. So we put our kids' movie away next to our violent and sober adult horror movies. I left the tag on this one because this was a pretty killer find. So, Near Dark on Blu-ray. From what I understand, Near Dark is out of print on Blu-ray. The case is a little dirty, but you know, I'll clean that later. So it looks like it's actually got a decent amount of extras. It's got a making of, deleted scenes, commentary, and some trailers, although, well, I guess it'll depend on how long that documentary is. So, you know, Near Dark is that classic, like, Vampire Road movie with Lance Henriksen, and is that Bill Paxton? Yeah, Bill Paxton. So, I didn't know that it was, like, a rarity on Blu-ray, because it was like, oh yeah, I remember Near Dark. Now, note the terrible Twilight cover art, by the way. So, I had them hold it for me, and I was starting to leave, and I was like, oh yeah, I should probably look that up. And it was like $40, and it's like, oh. It's like, hey guys, I'll take my movie now. Yeah, I'm gonna take a quick breather through some water here. Okay, and then this was sort of a special order, so this is Dread Presents the Book of Monsters, which, who was it? It was either Ryan Turek or Rob Gazzullo on Twitter. One of them was like, hey, yeah, our thing is up for pre-order now, you know, get it. And it was like, well, it's only like $15. It's supposed to be pretty good. Yeah, I'll try it out. And so, I got it. It's pretty cool. It's like, it's kind of difficult to describe. Basically a bunch of monsters crash this house party. And these girls have to take the monsters out. It's fairly straightforward, and, you know, it was pretty good. I kind of wish I'd gotten to make this video a little bit sooner, so that I remembered more specifics. Like, this was a good release, though. I mean, it came with a couple of commentaries, a few featurettes, and it has this, like, really cool, you know, Book of Monsters, like, title song, which plays on the menu, and I think I just let the menu play for, like, 6 hours while I was writing a paper. Like, it was that catchy, so I would recommend you check that out. I mean, it does slow down a little bit, I think at about the 45-minute mark, but it gets right back going again and you barely notice. So, it's got like killer gnomes and just all kinds of insane creature madness. And then we have the much anticipated 4K release of the original Pet Sematary in the steelbook with Mondo art, which I pre-ordered this, and they gave me a dented steelbook, and it was like, so I had this on my table for like 2 weeks before I could finally go back and like get an exchange. And then it turns out like that this release just like takes damage like you wouldn't believe. Like almost all of the ones on the shelf were a little bit messed up in like very subtle ways. And the lady was like, oh yeah, no problem, just go grab another one. And so this was the nicest looking one on the shelf. And it's like, okay, and then she took the old one and just like threw it in a bin, and it was like, oh god, I could have just put it back on the shelf for you, damn. But yeah, so a lot of people were really excited about this release. So let's see what's on here. So Fear and Remembrance, a look back at the original with the crew of the new Pet Sematary. Oh, that's cool. New interview with the director, new behind the scenes images. And there's a commentary. I wonder if that's a new commentary. And then there's, okay, so there's a 4K in here and a Blu-ray in here. The 4K, it looks like, has a bunch of new stuff. And the Blu-ray, it looks like the Blu-ray is just like the previous release with all the older stuff that came on that. Which, I wonder, somewhere over on my shelf, I have the, it's like a 4-disc, it's like a 3 or 4 disc Stephen King collection thing. With a bunch of his kind of lesser-ish works. I think like The Dead Zone, Silver Bullet, Pet Sematary, and I think something else is on there. And so I wonder if it's the same, if that has stuff on it too. But anyway, I mean, it's a totally sweet steelbook, and there's gonna be a lot of fun in there. Like, I really want to see the new Pet Sematary too. So, and plus that song, I mean, I thought the song's so good. And then we just got like a handful of DVDs to kind of wrap up this part of April. So they have a deal at one of the places I go to. It's like, if you buy, I think it's 3 titles that are like that are $4 or less, you get like 3 for $8. And so this is one of the things I picked up to kind of fill that out. So I actually don't know anything about it, except somebody on Twitter was like, oh yeah, it's one of my favorite movies. So I just kind of dove in because it was like so cheap. It's The Cave. I'm assuming creatures in a cave. But there's a lot of meat on this. That's weird. Filmmaker commentary, writer commentary, featurette. So, well, should be good. And then this is kind of a longer story, so this is supposed to be a release of Billy Club, so the special edition of Billy Club. So I found this just kind of at one of my regular places, and well, it's not exactly a good movie, at least as I would define it. Like, it's like a lot of independent movies. It kind of stutters. Like, it gets going, it's good, and then it kind of loses some steam for a while, which I would say 70% of indie movies have that problem. But what makes it special is that it was made kind of around here, and the special edition one here comes with this little thing that's like signed by like the writer. I'm assuming the writer and the director. My friend would have more info on that. Like, I'm going to ask him about it. And it's got like a shot of the crew, and that was pretty cool. However, when we opened it up at the store to check it out, this is some random ass Val Kilmer movie called Top Secret, which I have never heard of before in my life. And it was like, oh shit, did somebody steal, like, I mean, I already have this movie like over there on the shelf, just not with like the special cover and like the signed like thing. And so I told my friends that work at this place, it's like, hey, can I just have the case? And they were like, oh, so the movie's missing? Yeah, like, they've got this random Val Kilmer thing in there. And they were like, oh, you want the DVD too? It's like, well, I mean, if you're just gonna throw it out. Yeah, we were gonna throw it out. Just take it. And it's like, oh, cool. Which, it was only like $2 anyway. So they didn't care. And, yeah, I got a fun upgrade to one of my Wisconsin horror movies. And then this very last one here is, so, Earth vs. the Spider. It's part of that creature feature series that She Creature was created in. So that's a line of, they're like kind of like early 2000s movies that were more or less like Stan Winston remakes of like obscure 50s horror titles. And they were made like into totally different things. Like She Creature is probably the best one. And this is kind of I would say this is probably the second best one. I mean, I haven't seen all of them yet, but I saw this on Sci-Fi back in the day, and I really liked it. It's basically Spider-Man, but if the guy turned into a spider and wasn't a hero. And it's honestly a really sad movie. I mean, I haven't seen it for probably 20 years, but, you know, I'm stoked to revisit it at some point soon. It doesn't look like there's a whole lot of, doesn't seem to be a whole lot on here. It does that kind of early DVD thing of, you know, filmographies for the actors, you know, because I guess you couldn't look that stuff up back then, because internet, not a thing. But, let's see, making of, photo gallery, trailers, so yeah, kind of a thin release, but, you know, at the same time, the movie itself, I didn't even know it was on, I'd never seen it on DVD before, so, and it was fairly cheap, like $5. I think that's about flat what it was online too, so, you know, good pick. So, yeah, well, that's our first half of April. So, with let's put our big money titles in the middle here. You know, probably doesn't count, but whatever. And the 7th Seal. Well, Criterion releases are always expensive. Well, you know what I mean. So, yeah. You know, pretty hot start to the month. And, well, let's see what we find next time. So, thanks for hanging out. Like, share, and subscribe.